So I'm calling the first panel, which is about security, emerging challenges, new threats, hyper-terrorism, and everything which is possible mitigation of exposures. We plan to have Richard Postgate as a moderator. Richard is CEO of Aon Bernfield in the UK. Unfortunately, he has been taken in London, so I've asked Ed Butler to do the moderation of this panel. Ed has been in the British Army for 24 years. You've been in Salamanca, which is an intelligence business. You're now head of risks at Pulry, UK, and you are going to be very challenged because you will be this day the only one who is moderating and presenting. Thank you very much, Ed.
Hopefully this is working and everyone can hear me. We've got a action-packed panel session ahead. We're quite tight on time, so I'm going to ask each of our speakers to talk for no more than 10 minutes. I will throw things at them if they're getting too far away. Unfortunately, Jamie's a little further than my throwing capabilities. I think Jamie's given an excellent introduction to what we're facing here in terms of complexity, uncertainty, chaos, and quoting back his Churchill thing of everyone needs to be in motion all the time, being agile and responsive, of coming up with new ways of protecting ourselves, people, societies, and obviously our businesses. Certainly from my perspective, I've been in the sort of counter-terrorism game as a student and practitioner, and now I'm in the insurance market for 35 years, and they really are unprecedented times from my experience. I think the sort of headline issue, and I mentioned this yesterday of a closed pool session, we're seeing this increasing gap between the number of threat actors, threat methodologies, how it's mutating, and the gap which is not being closed by our politicians globally and nationally, from a counter-terrorist strategy perspective, from business responses, and from clearly what we're doing in the insurance and reinsurance market, and hence the importance of today's conference. I'll introduce everyone very quickly and then ask them to get up and talk. And then I'm hoping that we'll have a good 20-25 minutes for Q&A so we can involve everyone in the audience who want to ask questions or share their views. I think we're under Chatham House, so what's said in here stays in here in terms of you can use the comments, but please don't reference the individuals without their permission. On my left is Deborah Rosenblum, who's the Executive Vice President at the Nuclear Threat Initiative, where she oversees all the organization's global project work and operations. She's worked in the national security field for 30 plus years, including 13 years at the US Department of Defense and with private industry. And Deborah will explain more of what the NTI does. Steve Johnson in the middle, he's former Army, worked in the British Army, that is, the UK Foreign Office, and now heads up the research into at Cranfield University in Shrivenham in England of modelling terrorism, its impact, and also teaching terrorism investigations to students from across all sectors. Hugely knowledgeable in the whole CBRN, the chemical, radiological, biological, and nuclear arena. I'm a little alarmed. He seems to have his gas mask bag below him, whether that's a prop or he knows something we don't. But he's off to Afghanistan next week, so good luck on that one, Steve. And then on his left is Christian Samard, who's the Executive Director of the French High Committee for Civil Defence since 2004. And he runs the largest centre in France dealing with resilience, emergency crisis management, and business continuity. Again, another CBRN expert. I think we've got, and I've got the order right, I think Deborah is on first. If it's not you, then we'll have to sit down again. But you can either stand up at the podium, Deborah, or talk from here, and your slides will hopefully appear in front of you. And there's a clicker. Should be Steve first. Just keep people agile, in motion, and alert to changes at all times. Do you want to stand up, Steve? Or?
If I sit down, I'll probably take less time.
Okay.